The Constitution of India, Preamble. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this Constitution.
Hi my dear happy children, welcome back to our English class. You might have felt happy to see all your friends and teachers through Google Meet, isn't it? Yes, we too felt happy and enjoyed a lot with you all. Okay? So, today let's begin our session with a powerful quote. If you are brave enough to start, you are strong enough to finish. You gain strength, courage and confidence by every experience. Am I right? So, you must do the things which you think you cannot do. So, let yourself on fire with courage. Got it, children? Right. Children, have you watched the movie Titanic? What does this movie tell us? Yes, the movie tells about the sinking of Titanic. Titanic was a huge ship which sank into the Atlantic Ocean in 1912. So from this movie, you might understood what is shipwreck. Right. So shipwreck means sinking of a ship. So we are dealing with the themes related to journey or travel in the entire unit of Wings and Wheels. Right. So today we will be dealing with the lesson A Shipwrecked Sailor, written by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. It's a story of a man who is hopelessly lost at sea and miraculously survives for 10 days without food or water and withstands the rough waters of the Caribbean Sea and the extreme heat of merciless sun. So, this lesson is an extract taken from novella. Children, do you know what a novella is? Yes, novella means a short novel. So, in this story, the author describes about a 20-year-old sailor who was young in age and was traveling from United States to Colombia through Caribbean Sea. So, it was in this sea everything happened to him. The ship got wrecked, he got drowned, and we will see whether he survived or not and how or what he has done to maintain his survival. So, these are the things we are going to see in this story. Shall we begin our story? Yes. I am going to read the story, listen to it carefully. So in this lesson, you will be getting many new words, right? So underline the new words and write down the meanings. Got it? Gabriel Garcia Marquez. He was a Colombian novelist, short story writer, screenwriter and journalist. He was affectionately called Gabo. He was awarded the Newstar International Prize for Literature in 1972 and the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1982. Marquez's first major work is a story of a shipwrecked sailor, which he wrote as a newspaper series in 1955. His best-known novels include 100 Years of Solitude, The Autumn of Patriarch, and Love in the Time of Cholera. My first impression was that I was utterly alone in the middle of the ocean. The ship plunged into an abyss and disappeared. I had no idea what was happening. I took hold of one of the bobbing crates and stupidly began to contemplate the sea. It was a perfectly clear day. Except for the choppy waves produced by the wind and the cargo scattered across the surface, there was no evidence of a shipwreck. Soon, I began to hear shouts nearby. Through the sharp whistling of the wind, I recognized the voice of Julio Amador Carabello, the tall, well-built officer who was yelling at someone, "Fatso, hold here." So, in this story, we have 5 characters, and the protagonist of the story is Luis Alejandro Velasco. First one, Luis Alejandro Velasco. Second one, Julio Amador Caraballo. Third one, Castello. Fourth one, Luis Rengifo. And the last one, Ramon Herrera. My first impression. Whose first impression? Yes. So the narrator of the story is Velasco. He is sharing his experience. Okay. So my first impression, that is Velasco's first impression, was that I was utterly alone. Utterly means completely alone in the middle of the ocean. So he thought himself that he was alone in the ocean. The ship plunged into an abyss and disappeared. What do you mean plunged? Plunged means immersed, and abyss. Abyss means a deep hole. So what did he think? He thought that he was alone in the ocean, middle of the ocean, and the ship plunged. The ship immersed into the deep hole of the ocean. I had no idea what was happening. So he did not have any idea what was happening around him. I took hold of one of the bobbing crates. What do you mean crate? Crate means a wooden container. So he held one of the wooden box and stupidly began to contemplate the sea. Contemplate means to look thoughtfully. It was a perfectly clear day, except for the choppy waves produced by the wind and the cargo scattered across the surface. There was no evidence of shipwreck. So, choppy waves means small rough waves. So, he had no idea how the ship got wrecked. Soon I began to hear shouts nearby. So, suddenly he heard the shouts of some other friends. Through the sharp whistling of the wind, I recognized the voice of Julio Amador Caraballo. So, here our next character. The tall, well-built officer who was yelling at someone. Yelling means shouting at someone. "Fatso, hold there." Fatso means a fat person. So Caraballo was shouting at someone to hold there itself. It was as if in that instant I had awakened from a moment's deep sleep. It dawned on me that I wasn't alone in the sea. There, only a few meters away, my mates were shouting to one another and trying to stay afloat. Quickly, I began to think. I couldn't swim in just any direction. I knew we were about 50 miles from Cartagena, but I was not yet frightened. For a moment, I thought I could hold on to the crate indefinitely until help arrived. It was reassuring to know that all around me the other sailors were in the same predicament. That was when I saw the raft. By hearing the sound of his friend, he recognized that he was not alone in the ocean. It dawned on me. Dawn means realized. It dawned on me that I wasn't alone in the sea. There, only a few meters away, my mates were shouting. Mate means friends. So his friends were shouting each other and trying to stay afloat. Afloat means floating in the water. So they were trying to float in the water. Who were trying? Yes, his friends. Quickly, I began to think. I couldn't swim in just any direction. So he couldn't able to swim in any direction. I knew we were about 50 miles from Cartagena. What is Cartagena? Yes, it's a port city, Turamogam. Okay, it's in Colombia. But I was not yet frightened. He knew well that they were about 50 miles apart from the Cartagena. But he was not at all frightened. He had hope that surely he could reach there. For a moment, I thought I could hold on a crate indefinitely. Crate means, yes, very good, wooden box. So he thought surely he could hold off one of the wooden crate until help arrived. So who will come to help him? Yes, the other sailors. It was reassuring. So he confirmed to know that all around me, the other sailors were in the same predicament. Predicament means difficult situation. That was when I saw the raft. So, what did he see? Yes, he saw a raft. There were two life rafts about 7 meters apart. They appeared unexpectedly on the crest of a wave near where my mates were calling out. It seemed odd that none of them could reach their life rafts. In an instant, one of the rafts disappeared from view. I couldn't decide. I found myself swimming towards the one I could see, which was moving farther away from me. I swam for about 3 minutes. I lost sight of the raft momentarily, but I was careful not to lose my bearings. Suddenly, a rough wave pushed the raft alongside me. It was huge, white, and empty. I struggled to grab the rigging and jump aboard. I made it on the third try. Once on the raft, panting, whipped by the wind, immobilized and freezing, I found it hard to sit up. Then I saw three of my mates near the raft trying to reach it. So, what did Velasco see? Yes, he saw two life rafts. It was 7 meters apart from them. They appeared unexpectedly on the crest. Crest means on the highest point of the wave. They appeared unexpectedly on the crest of a wave. Crest of a wave means the highest point of the wave. Where mates were calling out. So everyone were calling out for help. It seemed odd that none of them could reach the life rafts. Odd means strange. So it is so strange that none of his friends could able to reach the life rafts. In an instant, one of the rafts disappeared from view. Instant means suddenly. So suddenly what happened? Yes, one of the life raft disappeared. I couldn't decide. I found myself swimming towards the one I could see, which was moving farther away from me. So now only one raft was there in the sea. So Velasco was trying to reach the raft. But what happened to the raft? It was moving away from him. I swam for about 3 minutes. So it was very difficult to swim in the middle of the sea. But he swam for 3 minutes. I lost my sight of the raft momentarily. So momentarily means slowly. Slowly, the sight of the raft disappeared. But I was careful not to lose my bearings. But he tried to reach the raft. Suddenly, a rough wave pushed the raft alongside me. So what happened now? Yes, suddenly a rough wave, a big wave, made the raft near to him. I struggled to grab. Grab means to hold. So he was struggling to hold the raft. The rigging and jump aboard. Rigging means the chain or rope in the raft. So he was struggling to hold the rigging of the raft and jump aboard. Jump aboard means to get into the raft. I made it on third try. So he tried several times and on third try he got into the life raft. Once on the raft, panting. Panting means take deep breath. Whipped by the wind, immobilized and freezing. So after that he became very tired and immobilized. Mobile means could able to move. Immobilized means inactive, couldn't able to move. And freezing. Who was freezing? Yes, Velasco. I found it hard to sit up. Then I saw three of my mates near the raft trying to reach it. So he couldn't able to sit on the raft. At that time, he saw three of his mates were trying to reach the life raft. I recognized them immediately. Castello had a firm grip around Carabello's neck. Carabello, who had been on watch when the accident occurred, was wearing his life jacket. He yelled, "Hold on tight, Castello!" They floated amid in the scattered cargo, about 10 meters away. On the other side was Luis Rengifo, trying to stay above water with his headphones aloft in his right hand. He had stripped off his shirt so that he could swim better, but he had lost his life jacket. Even if I hadn't seen him, I would have recognized his cry. Faster, paddle over here. I recognized them immediately. Who recognized? Yes, Velasco. Velasco recognized the three of his friends immediately. One was Castillo. Castillo had a firm grip around Caraballo's neck. So who was holding Caraballo's neck? Yes, Castillo was holding Caraballo's neck tightly. And Caraballo, who had been on the watch when the accident occurred, was wearing his life jacket. Who was wearing the life jacket? Yes, Caraballo. He yelled, "Hold on tight, Castillo." So Caraballo was yelling. Why he has to shout? Yes, because of the sound of the waves, they couldn't able to hear anything. So Caraballo shouted, "Hold on me tightly, Castillo." They floated amid. Amid means in the middle. So they floated in the middle of the scattered cargo, about 10 meters away. On the other side was Luis Rengifo. So, in one side, two of his mates, that is Caraballo and Castillo, were struggling to get the life raft. And on the other side, Luis Rengifo was struggling. And he was trying to stay above water with his headphones aloft in his right hand. He had stripped off his shirt. Stripped off means he removed off his shirt. Why he had removed his shirt? Yes, to swim better. So while removing his shirt, he lost his life jacket too. Even if I hadn't seen him, I would recognize his cry. "Faster, paddle over here." So who is Fasto? Yes, our Velasco. So Velasco couldn't able to see his mates, but he could hear the voice. What they were shouting? Yes, Fasto, paddle over here. I quickly grabbed the oars and tried to get closer to the men. Caraballo, with Castillo clinging to his neck, neared the raft. Much farther away, looking small and desolate, was the fourth of my mates, Ramon Herrera, who was waving at me while he held on to a crate. I grabbed the oars. Who quickly grabbed the oars? Yes, Velasco. And tried to get closer to the men. So he took the oar and he was trying to reach to his mates. Caraballo with Castillo clinging to his neck near the raft. So they were almost nearing to the raft. Who were almost nearing to the raft? Yes, Castillo and Caraballo. Much farther away, looking small and desolate. Desolate means sad. Was the fourth of my mates. So now the last mate he saw. That was Ramon Herrera, who was waving at me while he held on to a crate. Waving means showing hands. So he also got a crate, not the raft. He got a wooden box and he was showing his hand to get the help from Velasco. If I had to decide, I wouldn't have known which of my mates to go after first. But when I saw Herrera, the happy young man from Arjona, who had been with me only a few moments before, I began to paddle furiously. But the life raft was almost 2 meters long. It was very heavy in the lurching sea, and I had to row against the wind. I don't think I managed to advance more than a meter. Desperate, I looked around once more and saw that Herrera had disappeared. Only Rengifo was swimming confidently towards the raft. I was sure he would make it. I had heard him snoring below my bunk, and I was convinced that his serenity was stronger than the sea. So, Velasco had no idea who would reach the raft first. But when I saw Herrera, the happy young man from Arjona, who had been with me only a few moments before, I began to paddle furiously. Paddle furiously means to row hurriedly, because he wanted to help his mates too. But the life raft was almost 2 meters long. but because of the waves, it was moving apart from his mates. It was very heavy in the lurching sea. Lurching means unsteady. And I had to row against the wind. I don't think I managed to advance more than a meter. So it was very difficult for Velasco to reach his mates because of the lurching sea. Desperate. Desperate means hopeless. I looked around once more and saw that Herrera had disappeared. So what happened now? Yes, Herrera had disappeared from his sight. That means he drowned into the sea. Only Rengifo was swimming confidently to the raft. I was sure he would make it. Who was confidently reaching to the raft? Yes, Luis Rengifo. In contrast, Carabella was struggling with Castillo so that Castillo wouldn't let go of his neck. They were less than 3 meters away. I figured that if they got just a little closer, I could hold out an oar for them to grab. But at that moment, a gigantic wave lifted the raft, and from the top of the huge crest, I could see the mast of the small ship heading away from me. When I came down again, Carabello had vanished, with Castillo hanging on to his neck. Alone, 2 meters away, Rengifo was still swimming calmly towards the raft. So, in contrast means opposite. One side Rengifo was trying to reach the life raft. Another side, Carabello was struggling with Castillo to reach the life raft. They were less than 3 meters away. I figured that if they got just a little closer, I could hold out an oar for them to grab. So Velasco thought if they could come close, a little closer, he could hold out the oar to grab them. But at that moment, a gigantic wave, what is a gigantic? A huge wave lifted the raft, and from the top of the huge crest, I could see the mast of the small ship heading away from me. So, what happened here? Yes, one gigantic wave came, and again they became farther. When I came down again, Carabella had vanished, with Castillo hanging on his neck. So, I came down. Came down means from the huge waves, he came down. At that moment, what happened? Castillo and Carabello had vanished. They too had drowned into the sea. Alone 2 meters away, Rengifo was still swimming calmly towards the raft. So, on the other side, Rengifo alone, he was trying to reach the raft. He was 2 meters away from the raft. I don't know why I did this absurd thing. Knowing I couldn't move forward, I put the oar in the water as through trying to prevent the raft from moving, trying to anchor it in place. Rengifo, exhausted, paused a moment, then raised his arms as he had when he held his headphones aloft and shouted again, "Faster, row over here." So now, who is remaining? Yes, only Rengifo. Herrera disappeared. Castillo, along with Carabello, also disappeared. So, from 4 mates, 3 of them were disappeared. Only Rengifo was trying to reach Velasco. I don't know why I did this absurd. Absurd means stupid thing. Knowing I couldn't move forward, I put the oar in the water as though trying to prevent the raft from moving, trying to anchor it in place. So, at that moment, Velasco doesn't know what to do. So, he put the oar into the water for what? Yes, to prevent the raft from moving. Rengifo exhausted. Exhausted means tired. So, who became tired? Yes, Rengifo became tired. Paused a moment. Paused a moment means he stopped for a moment. Then raised his arm as he had when he held his headphones. So, what was in his hand? Yes, headphones. Aloft and shouted again, "Faster, row over here." Who is Fasto? Yes, our Velasco. He shouted, faster row over here. So, we will also pause here and we will see in the next class whether Rengifo is rescued or not. Okay? So read the lesson well. Try to frame sentence for the new words by your own. Okay? So we will meet in the next class. Until then, it's bye from your English teacher. Thank you.